In this class, I'm going to show you how I approach finding reference, how to build your reference library, and also how to compile your research for presentation and easy use. I'll be talking about some of my favorite websites and programs to use when organizing my thoughts, as well as how I sort my research into categories to streamline the entire process. So, let's get started. So, you've got a soft concept going in your head, and you're in the phase of looking for photo images to make that concept a reality. My first go-to is Pinterest, mainly because it's a photo aggregate website which makes my job much easier when I'm sifting for the right image. I love the ability to be able to create boards and then additional subboards within those to help me categorize my findings, especially for later use. I spent years attempting to curate my own reference library, which is publicly available if you'd like to use it. It's still not perfect, but ever since I started using it, it's been my go-to ever since. Often my first step is to log onto Pinterest and pick out a few boards that I think will be relevant to my process, but you can do this with keywords if you don't have a library ready to go. While Pinterest is not the only place where you can find reference images, Tumblr and DeviantArt were both pretty popular places when I was growing up, it is the one that I feel like has the most useful tools in which to build a reference library. I first start with actual reference for the object or concept that I'm looking for. If it's a knight character, I'll start with my armor ref board as well as any weapons I'd like to consider. Then I start diving into my fashion boards, often utilizing the avant-garde ones as my preliminary go-to. Personally, I like to try and push myself to start as weird and bizarre as I can, because I think that just sets the stage for all the possible options that you have going into the project. If there's a cultural spin to the concept, I might take a peek around my boards that are related by region, or I might even do a little bit of extra research if I need more historical context or I can't ascertain the validity of the photo. From there, I just keep scrolling down and open new tabs for every board I think could offer some ideas before going through to start paring down my options. I often start a totally new board just for the project, and I utilize the subboards to either create categories of research or separate boards for separate characters. I go through each of my selected boards and I save out copies of the relevant pins so that I can start with an overall first pass vision. So now you've got some images that are waiting to be compiled. From there, I might do some additional research if I found a point of interest that would benefit from some extra deep diving. Once I have all my materials in hand, I go to probably one of my favorite programs of all time, PureRef. PureRef is a donationware program where you can assemble your references freely. You can copy-paste your reference, resize and snap images together, and write notes to complement the overall layout. I've been using PureRef for years, and it's been my go-to when it comes to ref boards because of how easy it is to reorganize and group my reference. You can donate to the team that made PureRef, or you can download it for free if you're unable to support them. They're a super generous group, so please consider supporting them if you can. There are other programs such as Quadro, which is a desktop program which allows your images to float above all of your other windows, and you also have VizRef, which is kind of the equivalent of PureRef for the iPad, but PureRef has my personal recommendation. When it comes to ref boards, I focus on two goals: functional reference and conceptual reference. Functional reference is reference directly related to my concept. I often organize these types of images into three subcategories: technical, wildcard, and style. The technical reference category refers to any anatomical or technical knowledge that I need to know in order to properly draw and execute the concept. This could be real-world research and text pulled from my readings, or muscle structures and bone breakdowns, things that can establish the foundations so that I can easily refer to the best reference images as soon as I need them. The wildcard category is in reference to my point in the last video about having unrelated research to complement your concept. My favorite go-tos are bugs and avant-garde media, anything with weird and interesting shape language to really diversify my approach. The last category is style reference, which is a little vague as the function of it can mix with the wildcard category. but essentially this is focused on the variety of visuals and styles the object of my research can have. This can be the specific color palette or embroidery, the style of machinery, the shape language of a certain era of craftsmanship. All of this helps me narrow my focus to the look that I envision in my head. So that was kind of how I categorize my functional reference, but that's just half of my reference board. The other half of the board is dedicated to my conceptual references. This group is mainly for atmosphere and aesthetics. The content of the images usually don't matter, as I'm primarily focused on capturing the momentary feeling of the concept in my head. This could include abstract imagery, color palettes, or photography with a specific tone. I like to keep this group separate as it helps me focus on different aspects of the concept depending on the placement and category of the images on the ref board. It's important to remember that none of this is final. Much of this, especially the wildcard and style categories, are subject to change as the concept shifts. Don't spend hours building your ref board, just focus on the photos that are the most representative of the look and feel you're going for so that you're not overwhelmed by the sheer amount of photos you have to look at. Again, I encourage you to not reference other artists' work. Do as much as you can without pulling any pre-existing art or 3D concept, just so that you can push yourself to apply the research in a way that's uniquely you. Once you sort of hit a wall with what you can accomplish with that method for now, you can start looking at how other people have interpreted similar ideas. So now you've got a PureRef file set up and ready to go. The cool thing about PureRef is that you can download the images you copy-pasted into a folder that lives on your desktop, or just copy-paste straight from the PureRef window to your program of choice. This is when I'll go into Photoshop and start pulling the images out so that I can organize them onto a proper page layout. I'll be talking more about this in the next video when we discuss creating a pitch deck for your project. For your mission, I'd like you to practice making a ref board for your intended concept for this class. Again, don't stress out about deciding everything right now, as there is plenty of time between now and the character design chapter to really flesh out your concept. Just have fun and enjoy the endless possibilities of research, and I'll see you guys in the next video.